Here we go. So we've got the quadratic formula. It's going to help us solve equations. Do you remember like a week or two ago when we would graph on Desmos and where it hit the x-axis, those were our solutions? Okay. And then do you remember when we were factoring and where it would equal 0, those were our solutions? Okay, so this is another method that we can use to find our solutions. And it's definitely got some tricks to it, so that's why we're spending multiple days here. So I'm going to tell you first what the quadratic formula is. Are you ready? It's negative b, and then you're going to put a plus minus. Remember that symbol? We've seen that before once or twice. The square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. It's a long formula. I also don't love what that light is doing. Yeah, I like that better. Let me see if I can make it brighter this way. Yeah, I like that better. Yeah, that's a C. So negative b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Alright, so that's what we're going to plug into for our formula. The question kind of becomes, where are these a's, b's, and c's coming from? So the first thing we need to remember is that if you have a quadratic formula, it's written ax squared plus bx plus c. So any quadratic formula that you have is written in this form. So this is where the a's, b's, and c's come from. So the a is the thing in front of x squared, the b is the thing in front of x, and the c is the number that sits by itself. And if any of those terms are missing, then your a or b or c would be 0. Alright, so the first thing we have to do is make sure our equation is set up like this and set equal to 0. So that's step 1, is making sure that we're in that format. So let's look at number 1. Are we in that format where we have something squared plus something with x plus a number equal to 0? Okay, so we're in the correct form. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out my a, b, and c. So the a is the number in front of x squared, so my a value is 2. So whatever is in front of the x squared. If there wasn't anything here, let's say it was just, oh, look at the next one. That one's like that. Do you see how it's just x squared for the next one? Yep, it'd be a 1 for that one. All right, b equals what for this problem? What's in front of the x? 10, and c equals 12. So those are my a, b, and c. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take those and we're going to plug them into the equation. So this says negative b. Do you see how b was positive 10? So if I plug it in, it's going to become negative 10 plus minus the square root. And then whenever I plug in the 10 here to square it, I'm always going to plug it in parentheses. So we've got b squared. So here is 10 squared minus 4 times a. What's my a value? 2. Times c. What's my c value? 12. All over 2 times a. So 2 times 2. So let's make sure we got all that. So all I'm doing at first is plugging stuff in. I'm not doing any math right now. I'm taking my numbers and plugging them into the right spot. So the 10 went here and here. You see? Okay. Minus 4 times a times c. So there's my minus 4 times a times c. All over 2, that 2 was there, times a, which was also 2. Are we okay how we got all those numbers plugged in? Is that all right for starters? Okay. The first thing that I always do when I get to this point, when I've got this whole mess of stuff, I'm going to leave the first thing alone. So I'm going to leave the negative 10. I'm going to leave the plus minus, and I'm going to write my square root. The first thing I do is I figure out what lives under here. And I'm going to use my calculator to figure that out. So on my calculator, do you see how I have all this stuff under my square root? Okay, so let's type that in. So I'm going to do parenthesis, 10, close it, square it. If you're not typing with me this time, I want to make sure you are next time. If you want to sit back and watch the first time, I'm okay with that, but make sure that you're thinking about how I'm typing it in so you can do it with me next time. Do you see how I typed it in exactly the same? Parentheses, 10, close it, square it, minus 4 times 2 times 12. Now I know I used my graphing calculator, but the scientific ones are going to work the same. You can type all that in. Your calculator is capable of handling that. If you typed it in with me, hit enter. Did we get 4 if you typed it in? See a couple people trying this time. 4? Yep. Olga says yes. Yeah. Bryson says yes. Griffin, you typing it in too, it looked like. Yeah, you got 4 as well? Okay, so again, part of the trick is, like, we have this great technology, but if you don't know how to use it, then it doesn't matter that it's there. Kind of like poor Miss Littleton the other day, right? Like, if we have this lovely dot cam, but if we don't know what to click on to make it come to life, then that doesn't help, right? So you've got to know how to, you got to know how to use the technology.
I have my own, but it's, remember,
They're all different. So I literally got a brand new one probably like a day or 2 before I was out, so that's why. Yeah, we should have had that conversation, but yeah, that's why it looks different. Yeah. All right, let's take care of the denominator. Usually I can do this part in my head. What do we know 2 times 2 is? 4. All right, let's keep going. So we've got negative 10 plus minus. I'm still going to leave that alone so far. What do we know the square root of 4 is? 2. And if you don't know that, do we know how to type that into our calculator yet? Let's make sure we do. Do you see how, and it'll be the same for the scientific calculators, find your x squared button, and there's going to be a square root hiding above it. So if I press second x squared, I get my square root. And if I can't remember the square root of 4, I can type it in. But that one's hopefully a pretty easy one. All right, all divided by 4, because we said 2 times 2 is 4. All right, now, do you see how I have a plus minus still in here? Mm-hmm. I can't just pick which one's my favorite. Like, I like adding better, so I'm going to just pretend the minus isn't there. We can't do that. We have to actually follow it both ways. So we're going to break this into 2 problems at this point. So we've got negative 10 plus 2 divided by 4. And then we're also going to do negative 10 minus 2 divided by 4. We've got to do both and get both of our answers. So we're going to get 2 answers here. I know, it's a lot of steps, right? All right, so negative 10 plus 2 is what? Negative 8. So I get negative 8 divided by 4. What is negative 8 divided by 4? Negative 2. So negative 2 is going to be my final answer. Let's go over here. Negative 10 minus 2 more. What's that going to give me? Negative 12. And that's being divided by 4. What's negative 12 divided by 4? Negative 3, right? Be careful with your sign. Bring your sign with you. Okay. So now I'm here. So these are my 2 solutions. Remember how we were getting 2 solutions for the most part? So those are my 2 solutions, and I'm done with that one. So you're going to follow it through all the way to the end. Okay, so again, I think the hard thing here is remembering that you have to use both. You have to use the plus and the minus. That was a lot of work. Let's try another problem. You ready? All right. What's my A value for this one? 1. What's my B value? 14. What's my C value? 48. All right. Here we go. We're going to take the opposite of B. What's the opposite of positive 14? Negative 14. Plus minus the square root of B squared. What's my B again? 14. Minus 4 times A times C all over 2 times A. Whew, it's a lot of stuff. I'm also going to kind of section this off as well so I can make sure I can tell what goes with what for these problems. All right, so remember my first step is I leave the negative 14, I leave the plus minus, I leave the square root. Ooh, and I can do this in my head. What's 2 times 1? 2. All right, so now let's all practice on our calculators. If you didn't try last time, you got to do it this time. Take them out. We're going to type this whole thing. Yep, we're doing the underneath part. We're going to type it in all in one line of work. Okay? So all in one thing. And again, your calculator can do the order of operations. It's capable of this, even if you have the scientific ones out. Parenthesis, 1, 4, close it, hit your squared button. Your squared button should be on the left. Minus 4 times 1 times 48. And then hit enter. Ooh. Did we all get 4 again?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. All right, so this is the 4 under here. What do we know the square root of 4 is? 2. So I have negative 14 plus minus 2 over 2. Okay. Can I pick my favorite sign and just do positive? No, we got to try both, right? So we're going to split off. And I kind of like to give a road map so I can see where my work is headed. All right, so I'm going to do negative 14 plus 2 divided by 2. And negative 14 minus 2 divided by 2. So I'm going to do both of those. All right, so negative 14 plus 2 is what? Negative 12. What is negative 12 divided by positive 2? Yeah, negative 6. So there's one of my answers. That one's done. Let's come over here. Negative 14 minus 2 more is what? Yeah, negative 16. What is half of 16? 8. And then because it was a negative 16, we have to have our negative. So we got our 2 solutions again, yeah? So the nice thing about this is that we're always going to be able to find our solutions. We call this an algebraic solving method because we're using algebra to help us solve. Okay, I'm going to make the executive decision. We're just going to do one more today. I had the notes continuing on, but I think we'll just go with one more and then we'll kind of stop for today. Yeah, do some practice on our own of just this. Correct. Correct. Yep, we're going to do this last one though. Okay, so A is what? 1. B is what? Yep, C is what? Okay, now, I had you practice on the calculator to make sure you could type it in, but to get to that step, you have to plug everything in, right? So I'm going to pull my sheet down. I want you to try to put everything into the right spot, and then we're gonna see if we match up. Ooh, careful with the 9. If it's, do you see how it's -9? Let me start here, actually. Do you see how it's -9? If I put another negative out front, it'll be -9. What's -9? +9. So it'll be 9 plus minus. So let me get you that far, because that's kind of tricky and we haven't seen that. Can you wait until we're done? Okay, thanks. Okay, so start with the 9 plus minus. All right, now I'm going to move it off the screen. And just try to plug everything in. If you're fast this morning, maybe you drank your own coffee and you didn't try to throw it on your computer. I don't know. If you're faster than me, though, you can go ahead and take out your calculator and type it in, too, and see what you get. But all I really want you to do is plug in all your numbers. So if you plug them all into the equation and stop, I'm happy with that. Okay, so plug everything in so you've got just your numbers. So I'm going to do that and I'm going to stop. I'm walking away. All I did was plug everything in.
Yo, how'd you get pulled? Oh, wait, no, that's the whole problem. But
Yeah,
I didn't-
don't look above. Don't look at
Yeah.
2. I don't have mine showing
I
yet.
don't,
You want to see mine?
I can't, what's it called? What's it called? I forgot, never mind.
Okay.
I can't do the thing where you find out how much goes into that number.
Well, we don't need how much goes into it quite yet. You're further ahead? Is that what you're telling me? Okay.
It is a lot of writing, and we're only doing this today. We're only doing this first page.
Well,
Yep.
It's as much as it looks.
There was more. Kind of one of those moments of like, ooh, I was a little overzealous.
I started to do the more and I was like, you know what?
I wasn't regular zealous, I was overzealous.
That wasn't regular.
All right, did we all plug it in properly? Look up here. Yeah.
Listen, when are we gonna use this kind of math in real life?
So when you're solving equations, so a lot of times when stuff comes up like this, we actually get a lot of sports questions. Think about when you throw a football, right? If you throw a football, it goes up and it comes back down. What shape does it make? You throw a football, it goes up, but we have gravity, right? It's not going to go around the world and come and knock you in the back of the head.
But what's the math term for the rainbow?
Yeah. Parabola.
Parabola.
Yep.
Yeah, I was
So-
I was definitely not gonna guess that.
Also,
What?
so also if I took like a rocket launcher, and let's just pretend it was like a pop bottle rocket
Yeah.
launcher. If I launch it, what's it gonna do? What shape?
The rainbow.
The rainbow again, the parabola, right? Our quadratic equation. So we can find when will it hit the ground. We can solve for stuff like that. We can with football too. And so that's a way to think about some of the problems that could come up with this same type of data. That's a good question though, and I appreciate that question a lot. Okay, 9 plus minus the square root all over. What's 2 times 1? 2. All right, this is too big of a mess for me. Obviously, I tried to throw my coffee on my computer, so I can't handle much this morning, so it's obviously more than my brain can deal with. So I'm typing it in. That's what our calculators are for. Could you try to do it in your head? Sure.
Did you do it in your head? No.
Could I do it in my head this morning? Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
The computer probably can.
It's all jazzed up and ready to go. It's caffeinated. Okay.
Whoa.
Whoa. Did we
That's
get
what I got.
did we get 225?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, perfect.
Oh,
All right, now, did you know that's a perfect square? Yeah,
I got 15.
you got 15. Okay, let me come look at yours.
Oh, you did the square root of 225.
Oh,
That's
oh,
where you
I
got
see what you, yeah. So she's a step ahead of us. You did the square root as well. The square root of 225 is 15. So 9 plus minus, if you take the square root, it's 15 all over 2. Okay? Again, we can't pick our favorite sign and use it. We have to use both the signs that we're given. So I'm going to spread out here and I'm going to pick both of them. I'm gonna do 9 plus 15 divided by 2. And I'm also gonna do 9 minus 15 divided by 2. Alright. 9 plus 15 is what? 24. If I cut 24 in half, what is it? 12. So that's one of my answers. 9 minus 15 is what? Negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. And I would recommend boxing in your answers because do you see how much work we did? It's a lot of work. So I like boxing in my answers here so I know which ones they are and which ones are my correct and final answers. All right, I'm going to stop.